Padme, I must find him.
You're going to kill him, aren't you?
He has become a very great threat.
Is this a drill or something?
Was Obi-Wan Kenobi and Padme having a secret affair? Or more importantly, is there any substance to this theory? According to Lucas biographer Dale Pollack, there is.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. Obi Wan was right. You've changed.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi Wan.
You're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow.
Because of Obi Wan.
Because of what you've done. What you plan to do. Stop. Stop now. Come back. I love you.
Liar!
No.
You're with him! You brought him here to kill me!
No.
Let her go, Anakin! Let her go!
You turned her against me!
You have done that yourself.
In his book Skywalking, Pollack's research revealed that there would also have been a torrid love triangle between the grown-up queen, who would give birth to twins Luke and Leia, Anakin Skywalker, and Ben Kenobi. The consequences of his love triangle are one of great betrayals laid throughout the 3 prequels that would have enormous impact on all of the major characters in the story. So, like Lucas previously abandoned ideas from Palpatine's announcement that he is Anakin's father in Revenge of the Sith, this is an idea that was ultimately scrapped. But are there still some traces found in the prequels of this love triangle, and how viable is the idea with the prequels as they are now? And I just want to say before we start this video in advance, I'm sorry, Anakin. Mutual understanding. Padme and Obi-Wan were both in positions of extreme responsibility, and their interactions show us a bond created over tragedy. The effects of war tinge almost every conversation they have. The tough discussions about Anakin show the two are their most vulnerable. The two huddle close together in those moments, likely for the sake of keeping their discussions quiet, but also because they're often going through the same amount of anxiety when it comes to Anakin, the war, and their individual responsibilities. Padme and Obi-Wan shared that mutual sense of pressure throughout the course of their lives. At 14, Padme was the Queen of Naboo. Likewise, Obi-Wan's responsibilities as a Jedi, a general, and a master came far earlier than expected. Anakin effectively changed both of their lives, but let's be real about how these two have it together regardless, and how two people who mutually understand that overwhelming pressure can bond. Obi-Wan wasn't all that against breaking the Jedi Code. Anyone who missed the Clone Wars may have missed the story of Satine, the Duchess of Mandalore, sister of Bo-Katan and love interest to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Satine was beautiful, brilliant and royal, who believed in many of the same things that Padme did. In fact, Satine and Padme were extremely close friends, and their sensibilities often aligned with Obi-Wan's during extreme situations. Satine and Kenobi shared a mutual interest in each other for what seemed like years, and Obi-Wan himself came extremely close to breaking the code for her. Now, ultimately, Satine was murdered by Obi-Wan's longtime foe, Darth Maul, but their bond and Obi-Wan's willingness to toe the line for love is a fairly distinct look at how even he couldn't keep to the Jedi's rule of detachment. Now, granted, if he and Obi-Wan were having any kind of affair by the time of Revenge of the Sith rolled around, Obi-Wan would likely treat it with much more care and confidentiality than his love for Satine. And the prequels were written before the Clone Wars, so if they couldn't have executed on this affair, the triangle obviously showing, hey, this is a facet or side to Obi-Wan with Satine, this is the narrative that we will open up that we had ideas for, that also makes sense. Now, Kenobi was already pretty bad at hiding his feelings when it came to Satine, and his close relationship with Padme came with even higher stakes, namely Anakin Skywalker himself.
Fine.
While he and Anakin are sent to protect him multiple times during her Clone Wars escapades, they usually find the Senator already working her way out of a problem by the time they arrive. During massive stadium fight in Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan almost gleefully quips about Padme being able to take care of herself as he watches her escape at chains. And it can be argued that Padme often sought out Obi-Wan and Anakin because Skywalker was, in fact, her husband, but that doesn't diminish her trust in Obi-Wan's capabilities. The two of them worked together for years during the Clone Wars, and even when everything went sour with Skywalker, Obi-Wan and Padme immediately got in contact with one another to try and save him. Yes, this all comes off as they did it for Anakin's sake, because the two of them cared for him so much, but there's plenty to be said about how they trusted one another both on and off the battlefield and sought each other out for comfort when the most important person in their lives was falling to the dark side. Even if you're not into them as a pair, their quiet friendship and trust is one of the strongest underrated bonds in the saga. And also, if they did have something, a fling that was not carried on past, say, the Phantom Menace, and then you move into Attack of the Clones and Obi-Wan, he's hands off, because the Jedi can have sex, they just cannot be in a relationship. Obviously, when she develops feelings for Anakin, that conversation may have come up, because by the time Revenge of the Sith rolls around, Anakin seems to be very paranoid and jealous about Obi-Wan is a focal point. Now, it could just be his abilities, it could be his mastership, but if Padme confided in Anakin, hey, we had a little love tryst, it didn't go anywhere because Obi-Wan's a baller when it comes to the Jedi Code, that would niggle at somebody who's so jealous and falling to the dark side.
Good job.
As Donna Dickens pointed out in a 2015 essay over on Uproxx, the stadium fight also includes one meaty little moment where Padme, holding on to Anakin as they ride through the battlefield, reaches back to grip onto Obi-Wan as well and gets a big old handful of Jedi thigh. And it's a quick moment, of course, but it's there, and Obi-Wan isn't fighting it one bit. But hey, who would? When the most badass woman in the galaxy grabs a little bit of thigh in the middle of a perilous fight for survival, it's not exactly easy to tell her, no touchy, but if they had physical connection before, like I've alluded to, that wouldn't be a big moment. Obi-Wan's devotion to protecting her children. The children of Anakin Skywalker were essentially the most precious secret in the galaxy for years, partially because of the careful links that Obi-Wan and Bail Organa went to in order to protect their identities, and it's perhaps Padme's death scene that displays the torment Obi-Wan is going through the most. The stress in his voice details the thoughts of a man who is about to lose someone precious to him, while at the same time taking on one of the greatest missions he's ever endured. Kenobi almost visibly goes into immediate thought about what to do next as he watches Padme writhe on the operating table, fighting against unknown forces that are slowly killing her. He vows to protect Luke after going to a self-imposed exile for his failures with Anakin, but it feels as though Obi-Wan is doing this for Padme at the same time. Losing two of the most important people in his life within hours of each other left Kenobi filled to the brink with guilt. As retribution, he personally took on the responsibility of looking after Luke and likely made sure that Luke kept the name given to him by Padme out of respect. Losing Anakin to the dark side was hard enough, but watching Padme die because of failures that Obi-Wan believed to be his own must have been just as difficult. So, while the movies still carry a strong friendship narrative over romance, if there was a love tryst behind the scenes, if Padme had relations with Obi-Wan early on and they just remained friends, that would be something viable. I don't believe this theory carries the weight of, are they a secret romance moving past, say, Attack of the Clones? It may have been an idea toyed with, and there's a little moment, but it needed a little more meat on the bones, and Anakin's jealousy seems to be misplaced. Obviously, he's swinging wild by the time of Revenge of the Sith, as people do in his position. You know, he's falling to the dark side. He's grasping at straws. You got this straw man of Obi Wan standing on the ship, you know, being the voice of reason, and he needs a reason to hate him, and he wants to believe that, you know, he's been betrayed by Padme, and you know, there may be something there, but after going through the research for this theory, I think that it's debunked, but it had potential. And if you watch the prequels again, you definitely see a couple of signs that make you question exactly what has happened or the motive. There is definitely an undercurrent there. But the beauty of this video, it's just the start of the discussion. Our love for Star Wars surrounds and it binds us together. I've really enjoyed looking at this because I'd seen the theory over and over, and I wanted to, you know, see if it had any merit. I would love for you to let me know what you think of it in the comments below, because if you love Star Wars, I want to talk to you about it. It's as simple as that, my friends. If you want to stay up to date with the latest Star Wars videos on origins, games, and theories, don't forget to use those force powers of yours and hit subscribe. And hey, leave a comment below about what you want to see in future videos. It may just get covered. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Always.